Hi everyone, welcome back to RAW.FPL. So in this one it's the Game Week 27 team selection. So we're going over how the team is shaping up for Game Week 27. And to be honest, right now I think it's going to be, there's two sort of camps in FPL. There's either those who are free hitting in 29 or those who are saving the free hit. So I'm going to be going over how I'm doing that and how I'm sort of navigating 29 and beyond. With the cup results as well, for me, being someone who's been planning to not free hit in 29, having no cup upsets was pretty good, really. The only upset was Bournemouth losing to Leicester, and being a Leicester fan, yeah, that was absolutely brilliant news. So we progress into the quarterfinals now. So yeah, we'll be taking a look at how it's going and how the team's looking for Game Week 27 and beyond. And also I'll show you a couple of different chip strategies, because there's three sort of main ways you can play it, really. And also if you have used some of your chips already, I'll show you how I would navigate that as well. So if you do enjoy this one, please do drop a like, and if you're new, please hit subscribe, and let's jump into it. Okay, so yeah, looking at this, it's the really planning for Game Week 29. So you've got 8 teams that are going to be playing, so there's only 4 fixtures. So the rest of them obviously clash with the quarterfinals of the Cup. So this is from Ben Krellin. And basically the take-home message is, yeah, if you don't have your free hit, then you'd want to load up on Spurs, Villa and West Ham. But also Luton now, because this fixture goes ahead, you can also look to load up on Luton because they double in 28 and then they play in 29. But yeah, something to consider, Bournemouth and Solanke in particular, he does double in Game Week 28 and it's against Luton and Sheffield United. So I think, depending if he's injured or not, I think we'll all want Solanke for Game Week 28. And again, this is from Ben Krellin on Twitter. It looks a bit confusing, but the take-home message really, if a team progresses far into the Cup, then they're going to likely double in 37. And if a team is going to get knocked out in the next round of the Cup, they're going to likely double in 34. So you're looking at Newcastle and Man United, they're going to potentially double in 34. And then you're looking at Liverpool and Man City, they're going to look potentially double in 37. So this can all change. We're going to get more information from Game Week 30. But yeah, that's how it's looking at the moment. So basically the players that you're going to want long term, so like your Man City, your Liverpool, and I think Arsenal as well, look like they're going to double in 37. The more longer term holds, they're all going to be double in 37. So it makes more sense to, if you do have your free hit in 34 because you want their players for just a short term. You don't want to load up on Newcastle, Man United, I think Everton as well, they're looking like they're going to double in 34. So you want to free hit them because you only want them for 1 week, and then you can get rid of them. But if you don't have your free hit, I'd probably just concentrate on trying to build towards 37. So yeah, I'll just show you a couple of strategies. So we've got 3 main strategies. So wildcard in 31, free hit in 34, and bench boost 37. So this is what I'm going to go for. It basically means dead ending your team into 29. So it means you have to have sort of 8 or 9 players available for 29. So that's the one I'm going to go down. I'm going to talk through all these in a bit more detail. But yeah, this is just the outline. So strategy B is you're going to wildcard relatively soon. So if you can't get sort of 8 or 9 players out, let's say you've only got Watkins, Ariola, and sort of Son or something like that, you've only got 3 players for 29, then you're going to probably need to use a chip. So wildcard in 28, it means you can get doublers, you can get Bournemouth, Luton. You can then free hit 29 or 34, but then the ultimate aim really is to sort of build towards 37 because they've got the teams where you're going to want long term anyway. And then the other potential strategy C is just pretty much ignoring 29, free hit in 29, so you can build dead end into 34. So you're building up, you sort of slowly add in a few Man U players, a few Newcastle players, and then you'd wildcard in 35 to get rid of them. And then you'd then look to have Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City ready for bench boost 37. So yeah, they're these three sort of main strategies. I am going to go over some strategies if you don't have any chips as well. So just yeah, bear with me. But yeah, let's just take a look at these strategies in a bit more detail. Then, so this is option A, and this is the one that I'll be looking to try and carry out. So if you have enough players, so you've got maybe 8 players. So you've got the likes of Bowen, you've got Watkins, you've got Areola, maybe a couple of Aston Villa defenders, Douglas Luiz, those sort of players. If you have got enough players to sort of make it by game week 29, I think this is probably the best strategy to go with. So yeah, as I said, you need about 9 players, some hits maybe if needed. So the plan would be to dead end into 29. So you'd basically bring in players who play in 29, and then you'd wildcard out of it. The reason you're not wildcarding out of it 30 is because Arsenal and Man City, they play against each other in 30. So you probably just keep the team in 30, and then you'd wildcard in 31, and you'd bring in the likes of your Saka, your Haaland, Foden, all those Man City and Arsenal players. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be great upside to free hitting in 29 because everyone's going to have pretty much the same players. So if you can build to get in those players anyway, I think you'll gain lots more points. So yeah, you save the free hit, which means you can attack doubles 34 and 37. So what you're doing with this basically, when you wildcard in 31, because the better teams that double, so the better teams, sorry, they'll progress further into the cup, and those that progress further in the cup are likely to double in 37. But you're going to want those players anyway because they're going to be like Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal as well. So you can wildcard and get all those players that you want, so Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, but then having your free hit in 34 means you can still get you can get a load of doublers, so you can get Man United doublers, you can get Newcastle doublers, you can get Everton doublers, and you're not necessarily going to want to carry them through long term. So that's why using the free hit in game week 34 could be a really good option. And then yeah, you'd bench boost 37. The only disadvantage to this, I guess, is you'd be wildcarding in 31, and then you're not using your bench boost until 37. So it's quite a long, quite a long wait there. So yeah, let's just take a look at the next strategy now. So this will be strategy B. So strategy B. So if you are struggling to get sort of 9 players out in game week 29, the plan would be to wildcard maybe 27 or 28, which means you can attack the double in 28. So you can get some Bournemouth players, you can get some Luton players as well, and then you can sort of try and get Spurs, try and get some Villa players. So you can play game week 29. You can get enough players for that, and then yeah, you'd slowly build. So you kind of ignore 34. You'd slowly build then to 37. So you'd get all your good players, all the Man City players, all the Arsenal, all the Liverpool back, and then 34, like in the previous strategy, you just free hit. So then you could get Man United players, Newcastle players, Everton players who are all likely going to double in 34. So yeah, that's another sort of way around you could do it. And then the final one, strategy C. So strategy C. So this is kind of just, you can't get 9 players out for game week 29. You just you sort of disregard it altogether. You think, right, I'm just going to disregard that. I'm going to play my free hit there, just forget about it. So this one, you'd sort of dead end up to game week 34. So you'd slowly sort of bring in Man United players, Newcastle players, Everton players towards the end, maybe like game week 32, 33. You then have enough doublers for game week 34 to make it, to gain some points. And then you would wildcard out of that because you don't want to hold all those Man United, Newcastle players for too long. You wildcard out of that, and then you load up on Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and then you'd bench boost in 37. So I quite like this one because your bench boost and your wildcard are really close together. So it means that you don't have to have all the money, or you don't have to have a lot of money on the bench for too long. And any injuries as well, there's less time for that to occur. I guess the downside is you don't have the wild card for that long, so it's less sort of powerful. So yeah, I think I do prefer option A. Like I said, this is the one I'm going to try and go for. But if you can't get enough players, I do think B or C could could work quite nicely as well. So then the other thing to consider is if you don't have that many chips. So let's just remind ourselves here. These are the 8 teams that are going to be playing. So just going through this sort of slowly. I know it's confusing. There's so much stuff. And to be honest, even these fixtures in 34 and 37, these are assuming there's no cup upsets. So you kind of assume that Liverpool will beat Man City, Liverpool will beat Man U, and you kind of assume that Man City will beat Newcastle. But you know there could be upsets, so we'll know a lot more game week 30. So these are just sort of some initial thoughts. So yeah, game week 29. Obviously, these are the fixtures that are going ahead. So if you have got a wild card, but you don't have a free hit, and you can get sort of 8 or 9 players for game week 29, I'd say you'd wild card in 31. So you'd basically get enough players for you build up towards game week 29, get enough players. You then wild card out of that mess, and then you sort of slowly build for double game week 37. The downside to that is you take the hit, I guess, because you're not going to have as many players in game week 34 that double. But I think at this point you just you have to take the hit there. Unfortunately, you're not going to get as many points in 34, but they are Man United players. They are pretty inconsistent. So yeah, you could still get a few, and then you could just sort of build back up to 37. But that's what I'd advise doing there. So if you've got your wild card, you don't have your free hit, and you can't get up to 8 or 9 players, then this is for game of 29. Then I think wild card in 28 could be good, because then you'd get enough players for 29, and then you'd sort of slowly build. Again, you sort of ignore game week 34, and then you slowly build to 37 again. Yeah, I hope this makes sense. I know it's confusing. There's so much stuff that could happen. But yeah, that's if you've got limited chips there. So if you have your free hit, but you don't have a wild card, and you can get 8 or 9 players, so you don't need your free hit. You don't need that in 29. So you'd build up to game week 37, because these are all the better players, and then you'd free hit in 34. So you'd free hit all the Man U players, all the Newcastle players in. If you got your free hit, but you don't have your wild card, and you can't get 8 or 9 players for 29, then you would slowly sort of build up for game week 34 and 37. You'd have both in mind, and then you'd kind of just ignore game week 29, and you'd free hit in that. So yeah, you'd sort of slowly build. You'd have maybe a couple of Man U players, and then you can get rid of them building up to 37. But yeah, again, you're going to have less doublers in 34. So yeah, you just sort of have to take a bit of a points hit in the long term. But yeah, unfortunately, if you don't have many chips at this stage, you are going to have less points. Maybe. I mean, it might not go that way. We'll see. And yeah, if you've got no chips, you just have to take a loss. I think you just sack off game week 29, really. You put a few key players, maybe, Tony, Watkins, Son, and then you kind of hope for the best, really. I mean, I'd just concentrate on 34 and 37 because they're the big doublers. So yeah, I think there's little upside, really, on game week 29, just because there's not that many teams and they're not that brilliant. If you have some Spurs players, you have Son, you have like Maddison, you might have a Spurs defender, you have Watkins. I think you just kind of, yeah, it's basically just, you're going to take a bit of a hit, but I think you try and just, yeah, sort of make it as low as you can, really. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I know it's a lot up in the air. As I said, we'll know more game week 30. But yeah, I think at this point it is just trying to manage your team, and it is very team dependent at this point. Just try and look at your team and think, right, can I get 8 or 9 players for game week 29? If you can, then I'll just try and save 3 hits. If you can't, then you might have to use a chip. So I'll just show you my team, and yeah, hopefully it makes a bit more sense. So yeah, I hope that made a bit of sense. I know there's quite a lot up in the air at the moment, and also, depending on the cup results, game week 34 and game week 37 can change as well. So it's just something to keep an eye on, really. I do think you sort of do need to try and pick a strategy, though, at this point, just because future planning, it's getting to that time of the season where you do sort of need to look ahead. So yeah, hope it made sense. But anyway, let's take a look at my team now. So Dubravka in net. I'd rather go Dubravka over Areola in this one. Wolves at home. Yeah, I mean, Newcastle have been pretty poor defensively, but so have West Ham. So fingers crossed for a clean sheet there. Then the back line, Moreno, he was the transfer in last week, didn't go to plan, a -1. But part of it is future planning for game week 29. He does play in 29, and he's also got Luton. To be honest, I do think Luton will score, but Moreno is so attacking. So yeah, we'll just have to see there. It could go either way. He could get a clean sheet and some attack and return, or he could just get nothing. So yeah, we'll have to see there. Stones. To be honest, it's between Stones and I've actually got who have we got on the bench? I've got Konza on the bench and he's back in training. So I was debating bringing Konza in, but I just think Stones. He was all over the pitch last game. He was playing. Sometimes he was playing like as a second striker at some points. So I think Stones against Man United. Man United, they've just lost to Fulham, and I think I think City will absolutely demolish them there. So Stones, he's currently ahead of Konza, and then we've got Gabriel against Sheffield United. So yeah, I think the back line looks pretty decent. Let's take a look now just at the midfield. Moving into midfield then, so I think this is where, it looks pretty good. I've obviously got Bowen on the back of his hat-trick, so happy to have him. He's against Everton. Palmer, he comes back into the side. He's been rested as well midweek, so yeah, he should be fresh and good to go. He obviously got a few minutes in the cup, but yeah, he should be absolutely fine. And then Saka, the man who's absolutely on form at the moment, hoping to continue that against Sheffield United. So yep, he starts. He's not going absolutely anywhere at the moment. And then Foden, I think, as I said, I think City, this could be quite a nice one. Man United don't look brilliant defensively. City, I mean, Haaland just got 5 goals in the midweek, so hopefully Foden can get some assists there, maybe even some goals himself. And then Son, so he's my transfer in. I actually did this last night, so there was going to be a price rise. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't 100%, but it looked like it was definitely sort of on the verge of rising. So I wanted to get Son in. I'm actually travelling down to Leicester tomorrow, so I'm going to be not going to be able to look at the team news and things like that really. So yeah, Son in. Hopefully he's not going to be injured between now and the deadline. But I think he just looks good, and he also helps me building up to 29. So if you are a bit unsure on what sort of strategy you're going to go for, I think Son is brilliant because he's got a good fixture at home to Palace this week. Richarlison looks like he might be out as well, so Son potentially through the middle. He's also on penalties, and yeah, he plays in 29. So if you're sort of on the fence, you don't really know what to do. Son's a good pick this week. He's a good pick going forward, and also he plays in 29, so you can leave your options open a bit. So yeah, I really like Son, and I think, like I said, you just keep your options open a bit there. So yeah, this is the midfield. Let's just take a look. Moving into the front line now. So we've got Watkins, currently a vice captain away at Luton. He's just Mr. Consistent right now, absolutely raking the points in. Another 9 points last week, so let's hope he can continue that. And then Captain Haaland. To be honest, the captaincy, I feel like after the 5 goals, so many people are going to move their armband to Captain Haaland, which I have. Yeah, I mean, I've been swayed. It was on Saka, and I was debating between Saka or Haaland. And then after that 5 goals, you just think, yeah, he could absolutely demolish Man United. So yeah, if you fancy a bit more of a differential, Saka looks good. Even Son, to be fair, Son against Palace at home. Yeah, I've got quite a good feeling about Son as well. But I just think if you want to play it safe, you go Haaland. If you want to take a risk, you go Saka or Son. Even Watkins. I think there's so many different good captains this week. But yeah, I'm currently going for Haaland, and I don't think that's going to really change. So yeah, that's the team. I've got Konza on the bench. He's back in training now, so he looks like he should be all right for 29, hopefully. So yeah, we'll have to see, but it looks pretty good. That's when I needed him. And Charlie Taylor, he moves back on the bench. I'm not going to be playing him unless I really need to. So yeah, that's the team. I'll just show you the transfer, and then we'll take a look at the differential of the week. So yeah, this is the transfer that I've actually now done. So I went Jota to Son. So obviously Jota's got that quite a bad knee injury, so he won't be back anytime soon. And this was a transfer that I had planned a few weeks back now. So Jota out, Son in, and yeah, Son, he could be even a captaincy shout at home to Palace, with Richarlison potentially out as well. He's likely to go through the middle. So yeah, I think Son looks a good move, and also like I said, he just keeps your options open. And then on the back of that, the differential of the week, it is James Maddison. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for him. Obviously, he came from Leicester. He was absolutely brilliant for us. Yeah, only 7.9 million. He's actually under 10% owned, and he's got Palace at home. And same as Son, he just gives you that sort of flexibility. So if you're still unsure on what to do with your chips, I think this week you can just get some Spurs assets, and they've got a good fixture run coming up. They're playing 29, and if you have to hold them sort of long term, then it's pretty good as well. So yeah, differential of the week, James Maddison. Let's see how he gets on. So there we have it then. That is the game week 27 team selection. I know it's probably a bit confusing right now. There's so much that is going on in FPL. Lots of strategies to sort of take on board. But yeah, ultimately, I think if you can get sort of 9 players out for game week 29, I think that's absolutely brilliant. That'll be fine. If not, maybe look to wildcard or free hit. And then, as I said, if you are wildcarding, or if you are sort of building towards one of the double game weeks, I think game week 37, that's going to be the big double, and that's going to likely have lots of the bigger teams doubling. Whereas game week 34, you're probably looking at Man United, Everton, Newcastle, those sort of teams. But yeah, more information will be released before game week 30. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned, and I'll keep you informed. So yeah, if you did like that one, please do drop a like, and please hit subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you again after the game week's done. So yeah, hope you have lots of green arrows, and I'll see you then.